Hi, welcome to the R2D2 foot 1, 2, and 3 tutorials. As always, you can check on Canvas and find the mechanical drawings to understand what dimensions to use and how to draw these just from the mechanical dimensions. So we'll start with the lecture block that we did in class, and that will iterate into a second part, foot 2, with a chamfer and cutout, and then a foot 3 part, which is again just building off it, extruded part on the bottom with a chamfer below. So as a refresher, we'll do the lecture block here right now, but you should open the foot 1 and then build off that, and then you'll save 2 iterations after it. So I'll just quickly step through how we build the foot part. And from here, if you haven't, save it as foot 1. So now we have the foundation to build foot 2. And we're going to start with a chamfer under the features menu. And with that selected, I'm going to collect all 4 edges on the top, looking from the top down of this part. And you should have the full preview checked if you don't. And there's a couple ways to make this chamfer. You can select the face, the top face, which will automatically get all the edges, or you can manually select the edges you want to apply. So in this method, I'm just going to click all 4 edges. And if you don't see a preview, it's because the geometry properties or sizes can't fit within your geometry. So you need to just make these numbers a little bit smaller so they fit within your block, and then the preview will actually show something. So right now it's not showing anything because these chamfer sizes just aren't possible with the geometry I have set. So this chamfer is going to be 8 millimeters in length and at 30 degrees. So when we measure it from the drawing, it's actually the complement, which is 60 degrees. You can also unchamfer options, and you want these select through faces and keep features highlighted. And that's it. So we've turned this into like a pyramid trapezoid kind of looking shape. And from now we're going to look at the front view and enable the front plane. And to do this, we need to draw a sketch on here. So I'm going to do corner rectangle. I want to zoom in, and I'm looking to click on that top line of our part. And I'm just going to draw an arbitrary rectangle. And next, this is the tricky part. So I'm trying to select the top line from the sketch I just drew, as well as the top edge from my 3D part that I have extruded. So I'm holding down Shift when I try and select both of these. And it might take a couple tries to get the right things highlighted. But if you zoom out and rotate your view, this will give you an example of what I'm trying to select. So if I just out-click and escape and deselect everything, I'll try it again. And now I can easily get both of these lines. And I want them to have the relationships of collinear. So I want these 2 lines to exist like on top of each other. So with that property enabled, I can now dimension my part. So I'll go back to the front view. And click Smart Dimension. And again, I'm referencing the drawing here. So I'll make this bottom 3 millimeters. I'll make the side 4.5 millimeters. And I'm going to distance the top corner from the corner of my shape. And make sure you click the actual dot of that vertex, and that's going to be 6 millimeters. You don't have to type 6.00, you can just type 6. It'll automatically fill in those decimal places. So that has all this dimensioned, and with this sketch still highlighted, I'm going to make this an extruded cut. So I want to cut through this object to remove this fill. And there's a couple ways you can do this with direction. So if I select the option through all, it's just going to cut through everything. And that's what we want to end up with. So I'm going to save this as R2D2 foot 2. This is the second iteration. And this needs to be its own part because you're going to make a mechanical drawing from this. Now, there are other ways to make that cut extrude. So I'm going to right click and go to Edit Feature. And I'll show you another way just to make that cut. There's options available and you should know what they do. So we can just do blind cut, and then you have to specify how deep you want to cut. So I can exceed this because I know my part is 20 millimeters in length. So as long as I pick a length that will do it, I can get there. Or I can just drag this arrow so I know it cuts through that geometry, and that's fine as well. So it doesn't matter. But as you have more complex parts, you're going to want to know the options and the directions and the methods to do extrude cuts. So either case work. There's no way of knowing what you did unless you have the actual solid model. So again, save this as R2D2 foot 2, and I'll hide my planes just so we can get a better view of things. To continue, I'm going to select the bottom face of my part. So you have to rotate your view to get to the bottom. I want to click on it because I want to start a sketch here. So I'm just going to click sketch and do a corner rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle that matches the outside perimeter of this. So just when you click, make sure you're getting the orange dot saying it's knowing you want to click on the vertex. That way this part will match the exact same size as the bottom. So as I adjust my zoom, you can kind of see where I'm at. Next, I'll click Extrude Boss, Base, and Features. And I want to extrude down away from the part, and this is going to be 2.5 millimeters, or 2.5 millimeters. Accept that. And like before, we're going to add a chamfer to this as well. So under Fillet, I want to select the chamfer option. So before you could select all the edges, but again, it's quicker just to select the face. But both methods work. Make sure you have full preview enabled, and your old numbers might automatically populate in here. That's fine, but this is going to be 2.5 millimeters is the chamfer distance, and that angle is going to stay the same, 30 degrees. You can always adjust that angle, and as long as the properties are allowed for that geometry, the full preview will show you what's happening. So I'm just stepping through that angle just to show you what the preview looks like. Otherwise, accept those changes. And that's it. This is going to be R2D2 foot 3. This is the third and final iteration of how to draw the R2D2 foot. So make sure you save this with your Android ID, and make sure you have all 3 iterations. They just build off of each other. And a neat thing you can do is if you look at the feature tree, you can use the rollback bar, and we can actually step through all the steps we did. So if I go back to the original, I'm just dragging the roll bar back, and I'm enabling every feature. Make sure you enable the sketch along with the feature, otherwise it won't work. And that's exactly how we make the R2D2 foot 3.